Hello, I'm Tan the Tan BOTC channel, and I'm just making a quick video. I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about like what my favorite movie scenes are. Um, it's been something I would love to talk about for quite a while. I've talked a lot about movies on my channel. I've talked a lot about movies between friends. I watch movies whenever I get the chance to. I love movies. I try to get my friends into watching different movies. Like I have a friend who has barely. I could have probably created a similar channel to Holden Hardman with my friend, because he has also not seen a whole lot of movies. He does have movies he's definitely seen and loves. I know he's a big fan of the Tron movies. Uh, but I wanted to talk about some of my favorite movie scenes now. What particularly counts, and I'm gonna just have like gifs up from my Discord channel that's attached to my actual YouTube channel. You can actually join it if you want. But there's not much with it and not much to do right now on it, but it's just kind of like a chat, whatever. So, or like, I don't know, hangout spot if you want to. But besides that, I think it's connected to my main channel. Where would it be? It would probably be in like the wherever my description for the channel is probably. I don't know. I'd have to look for it later. But yeah, I wanted to talk about some of my favorite movie scenes. It has to pertain to like having great atmosphere or even acting, uh, just really cool details in them, or even the use of cinematography and stuff, how they make me feel. Uh, they have to invoke certain feelings, whether fear, laughter, hate, whatever the feelings may be, and have some sort of like even mystery to them too, or some sort of intrigue. So, and I want to talk about these as well as other things I have to talk about. There might even, so I'm going to do top 12 favorite scenes because I wanted to make the joke. I like going one step beyond nostalgia critic. That's all I wanted to do that for. Whoops, sorry, that was too loud. Um, I wish I could balance that better. I'm not good with balancing it. So I wasn't sure what to go with number 12, so I just chose Beetlejuice. Uh, and when I do like probably the top couple, unless we talk about a later one, it pertains that I might choose multiple scenes from the movie, and you can already see some of the other ones coming up. But I love the Beetlejuice scenes. If I had to pick one in particular, though, I like when they first meet Beetlejuice. I love mimicking like almost everything he says in these movies. I remember every time I would walk through my house to and I would say hi or whatever, how I'd greet my family members just as I walk around the house in a Beetlejuice voice, where it'd be like, "Hey, how are you?" And I loved doing that as well as some of the other mannerisms and things he would do were just really funny to me. I love Beetlejuice. I love the "It's showtime," uh, all sorts of stuff. Yo, King. Looks like I'm next. But yeah, I absolutely love those scenes. They are just freaking hilarious, and Michael Keaton in that, like, I just don't see Michael Keaton in that every time I watch that movie. He's just so fun. And I'm glad Beetlejuice isn't that bad. I still prefer the original. It also the feelings through the music, like just the intro, hearing the intro music. Dun, 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 dun. I love that freaking music that starts it up and it's going through the model of the town. It's just, oh, I just get freaking chills every time I watch the intro to that freaking movie. I kind of feel like watching it again just for that. The entire movie is, I love the 80s era of movies. It's my favorite decade of movies. I can't think of like a single bad movie. Like if you even brought stuff like I love even stuff like freaking Howard the Duck. I think it is a bad movie, but something about, and I think that's an 80s movie. I'd have to double check on that, but I remember even that with how stupid that is. I even think with how stupid that is, it's just a fun movie. It's the same with like the Street Fighter movie and the Mortal Kombat. I think that's 90s though, but you know what I mean. Even like Double Dragon and stuff. Those movies are freaking fun in a stupid way. I'd have to look where those movies were from. They might actually technically be 90s. But you know what I'm trying to get at? I love the 80s. Freaking awesome time. I wanted to put a Conan on this list or like any Arnold movie, but I can't think of like individual scenes or multiple scenes that stand out. But I love Conan. I just don't know if I can say like a singular scene stands out. Maybe dialogue more likely. Maybe even something from Terminator 2. But I already created my list. We're rolling it with it. So that was Beetlejuice. Number 11, The Freaking Thing. I love The Thing. Um, this was a freaking. This is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. I love The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. There's a bunch of John Carpenter movies I love. I love Big Trouble in Little China. I actually have some comic books of that. Uh, I love freaking They Live. I got to show my friend Dave that finally. I even showed him the other John Carpenter movies, like the Escape from New York and Vegas, or what was it? Was it Las Vegas? I can't remember the name of which one that took place. But you know what I'm talking about. No, it's L.A. It's Escape from L.A. Wait, no, that is like I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry. But I love those movies. I love how freaking ridiculously over the top the second Escape from movie is. Um, my excuse the fact I was being dumb earlier, but yeah, I love freaking The Thing. I think this is the best scene where he is doing the not the autopsy, but where he's trying to bring this guy back to life from a heart attack. But such a good like Among Us movie with awesome practical effects. This is probably where the practical effects are at their best. I love some of the dialogue. I still quote some of the dialogue, like the "If you guys don't mind, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this and couch." I don't like swear much, so sometimes I'll cut that out, or I'll say frickin', frickin' chicken. But I absolutely love this movie. Yeah, and you. What was the other one? Cheating bitch. But absolutely awesome movie. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I just love the attention to details. The fact that it's still talked about. I loved watching videos on The Thing as well. There's so many people who have dissected this movie. I can't do it enough justice the same way they did, but it is just such a fascinating movie to me, and uh, I'm so glad to have it on this list. There's no freaking doubt, and it would definitely be this scene right here when it turns into the spider. You gotta be kidding. He shoots the goddamn spider creature with the flamethrower. Next would have to be this line. Now, I could just take the entirety of Shutter Island for number 10. I love Shutter Island, underrated movie. It's actually the movie that got me into Leonardo DiCaprio finally as an actor. He chooses a lot of really amazing roles. I'm surprised that he has he has a really good agent or something. But man, was Shutter Island one of my favorites. You have a bunch of great actors: Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, even got Buffalo Bill for a very short amount of time. I'm trying to remember the name of the German guy that is also Esbern from Skyrim. I remember him for that. I'm forgetting his freaking name though, which sucks. But I love that guy too, and I'm seeing him in other stuff. And sometimes names escape me, anyways, which sucks to deal with. But I love the dream sequences, and this is a movie that's very similar to the thing where it's like keeps keeping you guessing, and there's so much stuff you can dissect from it. Such a well-written movie, and then of course the book too. And I love just this one line of dialogue right here. This is like my favorite moment that breaks it up, which would be worse to live as a monster or to die as a good man. So, and then Mark Ruffalo, when he hears that, he figures out that he knows like what's going on. It is pretty crystal clear like what's going on in the ending and how you solve and figure it out. Like, is he a crazy guy the whole time, or was he just convinced to be a crazy guy and he actually was a good guy that came here? There's a bunch of like little clues and such here and there throughout the freaking movie, and I freaking love it. Uh, and I gotta watch it again. I know it's on. I think it's on Paramount Plus. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I own it as well, so I should make a video talking about it. I haven't done much of my review videos in a little bit. And then we come to. I actually watched this today, uh, with some different music. I won't say what, because I don't know if it will give away something. I don't want to go into detail. But yeah, I rewatched the original Nosferatu. I've actually watched different versions of Nosferatu. There's the one with Krinsky. I love the one with Max Schreck. Uh, it is kind of hard to get into silent movies for me unless it's Phantom of the Opera or The Man Who Laughs, which is kind of responsible for the Joker. Metropolis, I think it's called, which is a really famous one as well. And then, of course, probably my personal favorite of all of them is Nosferatu. This movie actually gives me the creeps at times. I love the cinematography of it. Uh, the makeup for Max Schreck in that old movie is actually pretty good and iconic, as well as the scenes with him. It has that like Silent Hill 1 vibe where it's older graphics on your PS1 game, but somehow because of the older graphics, or you could take The Ring, for example, playing it on a VHS. Like something about it makes it come out a lot creepier than it is. And one of my favorite, I could take any scenes, like I love the shadow scenes at the end where he uses his shadow to open the door, and then he does that thing where he like has his hand hover over her heart and then crushes it or whatever in his shadowy hand. And then, but I think this is my favorite scene is the oh, there's also a scene where he fades into existence for a brief while, and there's like a crewmate on the ship that sees him very briefly, and it freaks him out. I love that too. But my favorite scene, of course, has got to be the iconic door scene. Who's flickering the lights? Nosferatu. But the reason I love that is the guy's about to like reading the thing more about Nosferatu, about the vampire, and he goes over the door because I think he hears something. I'm trying to remember why he goes to the door, but he goes to the door, he opens it, peeks out, and he sees this figure at the very other side of the building, just standing there menacingly. I have to put another SpongeBob reference in there. And he just closes it, goes into bed, like trying to pretend he's sleeping. The door suddenly opens on its own. There's nothing there in the doorway for a brief while. I love that. It's like, where the frick is he? And then I think it cuts back to him expecting Nosferatu or Count Orlok, as he's called, to come through the door, and then he's suddenly there. He takes the couple steps in and he looks over at the bed with him trying to once again fake that he's sleeping or whatever, and then he casts that shadow over him. I love that freaking scene. It's just so creepy to me. Awesome scene nonetheless. All right, let's see if I can do this without it freaking out. It's probably gonna freak out. And you can see what two of the next ones are because it frickin' skipped without me wanting it to. Uh, so Evil Dead 2, you knew this one would probably be coming if you know me. I love Evil Dead. It's a frickin' awesome series. I love Ash And my favorite scene, I love that entire movie, honestly. Like, I could take any scene from that movie, any scene from any of these movies, really. But if I have to pick, there's just something about, I think Decker Shadow put it the best way I can whenever I see that scene. I just can't look away. I love it. It's just makes me bust out laughing, but I love the insanity of it. All the furniture. My favorite part, especially, is the freaking part where he's like dancing with the lamp. But yeah, it's just such a crazy scene. I love that the movie plays with you and plays with Ash. Like it's almost got like a psychological edge to it at times. There's stuff like the mirror scene, all the Deadite fights, him preparing with his chainsaw, newly found chainsaw hand and everything. Just so much cool stuff going on in this movie. So much funny stuff. I also love the scene where the freaking Deadite or whatever the frick is chasing him just chases him through the entire freaking shack, is breaking everything down just to get to him. This like one long shot of him trying to escape the cameraman, essentially. It's just really funny. I just love thinking that he's trying to escape it so he doesn't get run over again like he did in the first movie. Like thinking that's why. And then when the thing just kind of gives up on the search for him, he just slowly opens the hatch door, peeking out. But I freaking love the Evil Dead movies, and Evil Dead 2 is like one of my favorites. The Thing is my favorite. I love the first Alien movie, and I love Evil Dead 2. Those are my top favorite horror movies, though you could technically say that's horror comedy, but whatever. Silent Hill would probably be another one. I love Silent Hill. If I had to put Silent Hill on there for number 13, it would probably be uh, honestly any scenes too, especially with like Pyramid Head. But I love the scene that's replicating the camera angles from the video game where she runs into the gray children eventually. That's like one of the coolest sequences to me. I love that, and I would probably put that at number 13. But anyways, we're moving on to No Country for Old Men. You knew it had to be the coin scene, but once again any scene with Anton would be cool to put on here. But it's just once again brilliant acting, really freaking you really feel for this guy's life on the line due to a mere coin, and just how much he like is just trying to create conversation, and yet it's pissing off this psychopath that we just saw strangle a cop to death and then use that freaking air gun thing or whatever to kill another guy just for his car. And then it like leads up eventually to this scene where it's like, oh God, what's he gonna do next? Well, how is this gonna end? But luckily, this man gets out of it over a good call on a coin toss. But it's such a freaking, it's got intensity, it's got atmosphere to it, great acting, and it keeps you on edge and it invokes those feelings of being frightened for your life, just as the old man. But I love that scene too, and I love mimicking it. Of course, we got a couple others here. You can probably already tell what they are. So, Jason the Argonauts. I love Jason the Argonauts. It's not my favorite movie of his. I actually, ironically, I like Clash of the Titans the most. That's my personal favorite of Harryhausen's, and it was one of the last ones he worked on, and it's one of the ones I think people like the least of his movies he made that are claymation. And I think it was due to the time that that movie was released because they were kind of on their way out. Uh, but I still love them. And every time I see the scene with freaking Talos, especially when they're trying to get stuff out of the vault there, and they decide to take things that they shouldn't be from the treasure vault, uh, that freaking big ass heavy door shuts on them mysteriously. They try to get it open. I think Hercules is there, and as soon as they run out trying to see like the hell did that, and it's probably even like it was just a wind. I don't know. I can't remember quite what they say, but uh, they see nobody, and then you get that camera angle from that's looking upwards at the statue. It is like behind their heads, and suddenly the statue's head like turns to look at them. Every time that scene happens, even like right now, trying to picture that scene in my head like gives me freaking chills. That scene creeps me the frick out every time I see that. And then chaos just happens because they're all being chased down and potentially murdered by a giant Talos statue. But I love that entire sequence. That especially is like the creepiest thing in that entire freaking movie. There's a lot of great parts. I love the Hydra fight. I love the freaking skeleton fight that they redo from Sinbad. Oh man, I wish I could go to the museum that's in Arizona before it closed. It might even be closed as I'm saying this, which sucks. But I love any Ray Harryhausen frickin' film back then. I can't remember if it was my mother or my grandmother that got me into Ray Harryhausen. And sadly, I'm so sad because I used to have a poster of Ray Harryhausen while he was like painting his Medusa model. It was one of my favorite posters I had of him. And now I no longer have it. I think my brother has it right now. I hope he's keeping it in good condition too. But I remember I hanged that up on my closet door, and I love that damn poster. And I sadly no longer have it. I would love to find a place to hang that. Man, dude, I wish I had that again. I can't remember how I got it exactly because I was pretty young when I got it. Yeah, I love that movie. My mom got me certain movies. I think the two movies especially she got me was Dracula with Bela Lugosi and that Clash of the Titans, because those were my two most treasured movies at the time. I love them, but they weren't the movies I watched the most. There are others that I definitely watched the most. You can already see what these others are going to be. So I love the original It with Tim Curry in the sewer scene. Such an iconic scene. Any one of those scenes would be great. I think if I had to pick another scene from that movie, I love the library scene where he's like, "Do you have Prince Albert in the can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out." What? What? Every time Nostalgia Critic does that now, me and my friend bust laughing at that crap. It's just hard not to laugh at freaking Pennywise doing that. What? But then the new It was being revealed, a remake, and we were like, another remake. But this was a great remake, though I don't know if I can say the same for this freaking part, chapter two or whatever. It was still fun. It was just fun in a bad way, probably. But I loved this first one. Once again, great child actors, such great atmosphere. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily scary. It's definitely a good horror movie compared to others, and it does kind of do things that I love that I wanted it to do because it's such a cool character to mess with, Pennywise, because they can transform into your freaking fears. And that's also what I was looking forward to the Welcome to Derry show. Because it's like, you don't know what the frick you're going to get with this freaking creature that can, basically the equivalent of that creature from Harry Potter. What was it, the Bogart? Like, it just reminds me of that, and it's just on a different level, and it wants to eat children, which is just, yeah, no. And like whenever one of these movies have freaking balls to kill like child characters off the way they do, and it's freaking insane. And it was so hard to recreate a freaking scene like the sewer scene, which is one of the most iconic of that original movie. It's like kind of transcended how iconic it's become, and they somehow managed to still capture a really good and memorable sewer scene. I could probably quote every line in the sewer scene. I love other parts of the It movie as well, even with Pennywise, but this is by far my favorite. I love quoting it. I love the buildup of it. There's also really cool detail that I love to theorize about, where Georgie's going down to his basement to go retrieve, I think it's glue for his brother, and he sees those two what look like eyes, glowing eyes in the dark. He finds out it's just light bulbs or whatever. I love that because it shows his fear, and then when he sees Pennywise for the first time, guess what he appears to him as? Two glowing eyes in the dark, just like what was freaking scared of in that freaking basement. It's just such a cool detail. I don't know if people notice. And then, of course, he walks on out. His eyes change color, and he's freaking a clown in the sewer. Which, yeah, he's a really terrifying freaking clown. I love the little details of him drooling and his freaking left eye just starting to slant over to the freaking side, start to droop. uh, it's just really creepy, and I love it. His voice does kind of is kind of silly. If there's one thing, he's scary looking, but his voice is a little silly. Uh, it's kind of got that thing where a lot of the Dark Knight characters have really silly voices, but some cool or even scary kind of designs, like the Joker. It's kind of reversed that. I always thought of Tim Curry's Pennywise as iconic on the same level as Jack Nicholson's Joker. And then there were like Heath Ledger's Joker and Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise are scary looking but have some pretty funny voices. And he kind of sounds like Scooby Doo from time to time. But I still love the voice and the mannerisms and such of him. Don't you want your boat? You look like a nice boy. Bet you got a lot of friends. Where's he? I love when he goes high with the voice from time to time. Oh, I bet I'd cheer him up. I'd give him a balloon. You want a balloon too, Georgie? I love the mannerisms and how he uses his voice. It's so cool. But it does sound like Scooby Doo. But yeah, I love that entire scene. And then it grows like in the original movie, it just kind of goes to a dissolve and then scary toothy Pennywise, whatever. We don't get to see what he does though. Uh, though you could say that it's scarier not seeing what happens to Georgie, like to leave it up to the imagination. But this still caught me off surprise. Just his freaking face contorting and then chopping off his goddamn arm was still pretty freaking ridiculous to start off your movie with. That's crazy. But yeah, I love it. Let's move on anyways. So, oh man, this is another one I could talk forever on. There's so many lightsaber battles I could go into. I love all of them. Darth Maul, of course, versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan is a great one with awesome music. But even though there are some really good lightsaber fights that are technically better, I still love the Luke versus Darth Vader. That, of course, leads up to the famous "I am your father" quote. Yeah, yeah, I cannot remember what scene I'm thinking of. There's a scene from either a YouTube series where I want to imagine Mark Hamill's Luke doing doing that no instead of this, or maybe the no from the Punisher show, where it's like no, 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 wait, 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 or the other no that I'm thinking of, but I can't remember what it's from exactly. But I just imagine him going no, 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 no. It just keeps doing that. Okay, now I'm just making up dumb crap to mess up that scene. But iconic deliveries and lines coming from Vader and Mark Hamill as Luke. Love it. James Earl Jones is like one of my favorite like childhood actor, like well, not childhood actor. You know what I mean? My childhood watching this awesome actor on screen, whether he was on screen or not. I've watched other movies where he did it, like Conan the Barbarian, where he's there in person. Where others, he was a great voice actor. And Darth Vader and Mufasa were two of my favorites when growing up. He was a big part of my childhood for sure. And I love the Darth Vader Luke fight. There's so many different layers I could go into depth. I love that each layer is kind of Darth Vader toying or playing with, or even seeing what Luke's made of, his own son, how like how much he's been taught, even reflecting it in some of his dialogue. The first part, you can tell he's using one hand to fight with his lightsaber, so he's like, "This is going to be freaking. I'm just going to take it easy on you. I don't even need to frickin' try, son." And he's one-handing, lightsaber fighting him in the first round. Then when he thinks he gets Luke in the trap, he doesn't. He's impressed. Then he gets kicked over the edge there. Darth Vader in the next round that he fights is like, okay, I'm not messing around. Time to test you with the frickin' Force. And he just starts launching stuff at him. He's now two-handing his lightsaber. You can see that like through his body language, and he's taking things much more seriously. I love that stuff. I love digesting that stuff. And then when he gets thrown out the window, he gets to the final scene. I think like there's different scenes represent kind of different feelings. Uh, there's patience, power, and anger through all the scenes that Darth Vader shows, and the third part of the fight is him just going, "Hey, I'm a Sith Lord. What are Sith Lords known for? Release your anger." I'm releasing all my anger on him. He's just very drastic, all over the place, just freaking whacking away at Luke, going completely insane and aggressive with him. Even getting hit once, but taking it like a champ. And then finally leading to the freaking checkmate where he cuts off his goddamn hand. But yeah, it's like I love each phase of the fight. And then of course it leads to Luke uh freaking trying to find a way to get the frick away from Vader. And the only way is to jump after making the decision of joining his side or not. But yeah, I love talking about that fight scene. It's one of my favorites. I could watch it like every time of the day if I wanted to, and I love talking about it whenever I can. Anyways, let's move on. So I did say that I don't usually do multiple scenes. I'm going to save the last one, uh, well, for last. But we have the Joker here, The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker. I love Heath Ledger's Joker. He's probably one of my favorites. I do love Jack Nicholson as well, but Heath Ledger has become my main fave for multiple reasons. I like how mysterious he is, not knowing his background. People even theorize that he might have even slipped his actual background into one of the Why So Serious stories that he tells, the Scars stories, I should say. And if I had to pick one scene, I think I do really like the first Why So Serious scene with him. There's also the interrogation room. The reason is his freaking mannerisms and body language and everything, as well as the atmosphere, the feeling. Hell, I could even take the television scene he has where he's freaking interrogating and freaking filming that fake Batman guy. Such a creepy scene, but he can be creepy and funny. I love some of the jokes he has too, from the magic trick, ta-da, it's gone. But I love, and you can tell he has mannerisms from even the voice of Mark Hamill a little bit. Mark Hamill does a little bit of a deeper voice, little bit, it's deep and light, and that's what I like about it. It's the same thing I was just talking about with Pennywise, where it can go from deep to really high. And he has kind of a similar thing where he sounds very nasally, but then when he gets angry, talking about something, it gets more gruff. And Mark Hamill does a similar thing when his Joker is angry. He gets very gruff with his voice and starts yelling and crap. Like it's very similar mannerisms in the voice even, and I love it. And because you're seeing a live performance instead of animation, which animation is awesome and it has its pros as well over live action. But goddamn, the mannerisms from I know he's licking his lips to frickin' keep the scars on or whatever, but it just adds to the character and the mannerisms mode of him, his freaking the twitching of his freaking eyes and stuff where they're wandering, uh his face, like every way he contorts his face and moves every little bit of his face, like every detail of this man you're freaking paying attention to, and you just can't let it's kind of like that Evil Dead scene once again. You just can't look away from this man. There's just something about every little detail of this man, everything he says, you're just like dead focused on him. You're like hanging on to every word he says because he's just such an interesting, intriguing, and mysterious character. But he's also terrifying and freaking hilarious. Like my favorite scene is the one where it's like, "You think you can steal from us and walk away?" Yeah, just the freaking yeah that he says casually and really quickly always gets me laughing. And I love pairing that yeah with the one that Flynn says in Tron Legacy. Am I the create the perfect life form? Yeah. I love that. They both have the funniest yeah to me. But yeah, no, I said it. They're just he's just got so many really powerful scenes that it's hard to choose from one or two. I even love his final scene with the Harvey is my ace in the hole. But I freaking love it. I've also mimicked a lot of his, tried to mimic his mannerisms, and I remember almost every line of dialogue that he says because I watch the movies way too much. The freaking Dark Knight, especially, and he's just such a cool designed character. I honestly always felt like he looked more like a Tim Burtonified version of the Joker than the actual, like the one that we got with Jack Nicholson. I still really love him. He looks more of like we had to get him closer to the comics because when you see Batman in that, he doesn't look like the Batman from the comic books necessarily. He's mostly wearing black, where Batman in the comics, even at the time, had black and gray and such. This Batman was mostly in black, and I was like, hey, that's that like why does the Joker kind of look like he just came straight out of the comics, even to the gag weapons? And you have to keep another thing in mind. I know a lot of people hate on his Joker for not using gag weapons as his frickin' weapons. And then, like, people get mad, like, oh, it's all this Joker's fault now because every other Joker has to frickin' copy him and be more like him. And it's like, I don't blame his Joker, even Christopher Nolan. It's a different take of the Joker. If somebody's, it's the same with like the Dark Souls games, because we have a bunch of copycats doesn't mean that the original isn't great. As well as they started it, I wouldn't blame them for it. They didn't know they were going to have a bunch of copycats afterwards. Uh, but the original is still really good. It was a different take. You know, Christopher Nolan of everybody would take it. So if anything, everybody else is more at fault and a goddamn copycat. And I know they also approach it in different ways too, or at least they try to add some differences. If I had another Joker scene that I absolutely love, um, besides the "this town needs an enema," woo. But one of my favorites is when Joaquin Phoenix kills somebody for the first time, and he goes to that bathroom to be alone, and he just starts dancing. I love that because they play off of the line that Jack Nicholson says, "Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?" And I love that because it's like I think it even takes place at night, so under the pale moonlight, he's dancing, and he's dancing with the devil because he committed such a heinous crime. I love that too. That is such a freaking powerful scene. Uh, you could probably also look at it as kind of corny because it's like, oh, look, they're calling back to it by making him dance in the pale moonlight after doing a devilish act. I don't know. That's stupid. But you know what I mean. But yeah, I love the why so serious scene. He's just building up. I love mimicking the frickin' his mannerisms as well as his frickin' voice in that. And it's where I feel his Joker is really showing his emotions and such, especially. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what to say. Great performance, awesome performance. And then we now move on to number two. I think the reason I put this at number two is once again, I love the Balrog, such a cool effect. Frick what Nostalgia Critic says. Frick him. I love the Balrog. He looks awesome. He's such a good effect, too. And while he is typical, like, big demon looking with horns and wings and crap, how did he not fly out of the hole he fell down? um, but with that, he's just it's such a cool effect. But I love the build up to it. I love build up in movies, and when it builds up the Balrog, you have the drumming, and then that entire fight scene with the cave troll and the goblins and crap and the orcs. Um, and it's drums in the night. I love him reading the book too. That builds up to that creature that killed the dwarves because they dug too deep. And when they're all surrounded by the goblins and stuff, and it's the frickin' just a light, this big fiery light at the end of this giant corridor, and it somehow freaks out all this giant, overwhelming army of goblins and orcs and stuff. They're like, oh, frick that. I know we could just kill them right now, but frick that. When they're just as scared, if not more scared, of dealing with this thing, it just builds the tension of how freaking terrifying this thing is. It doesn't help with what Christopher Lee's Saruman says, you know what is in the dark down there. And he's like building up the Balrog as well. There's just so much build up to this creature, and all you see is a light. And it almost gives me like a feeling that like the Balrog isn't visible to them until it's like up and close and personal. Almost like it's got a weird ghostly effect to it, and all you see of it is a light. Hell, you can even tell that with like some of the mannerisms of the characters in that scene where all the goblins are gone and stuff, and you see Legolas trying to aim at whatever that is, and he can't find a target, and they're just like, Gandalf, what is this? This devilry? And he describes the Balrog, and it's beyond any of you. This foe is beyond any of you. He's just like, run! I love the buildup of that, and it getting closer, and you hearing its bellowing roar, and then breaking through that door where they have to get on those stairs that's now wobbling, all that crap. Just a build up, and then finally seeing the goddamn thing invoked in flames and shadows, which is a cool effect. I still kind of think it looks good today. Um, and then it leads up to one of the most iconic scenes and iconic lines in any of the movies. I always love the beginning of a fantasy journey. And this is one of my favorite scenes. It's also where we get some great action too. And him leading up to the You Shall Not Pass is just, oh, I freaking love it. And then it leads into the cool fight scene in the next movie. Hell, even in the book, it's so cool because when he's describing being at the like having to go from the deepest depths of the earth to the highest mountains, there's a part where he's talking about these deep ones in the water, these ancient ones, and they kind of sound like these Lovecraftian creatures. And he's just hanging on to the Balrog for dear life as they're escaping that freaking area. And that's such a cool description as well in the book, the old ones or whatever they're called in the book. Just so many cool things, both from the transcending from the book to the movie. I think that part is actually in Two Towers, described in the Two Towers book, but it's still really good, still really cool, and has so much atmosphere and build up. to that stuff and mystery. I love it. But yeah, awesome. And of course, my number one scene, because that's number two, then three, four, five, and so on, uh, has to be the Ray Harryhausen thing I just mentioned. Freaking Medusa. Once again, build up. It's funny that it has similar lighting to the freaking Balrog scene here, other than the green glowing eyes. I love the build up to this where freaking Perseus and his warriors are journeying through this like they get this ferryman that's like freaking the Grim Reaper kind of, or whatever the name of the ferryman that brings you to Hades' domain in the mythos, and they go with him cross this river of death or this ocean of death or whatever they called it, and they make it to this place where they just see a bunch of statues. It kind of reminds it's like a bunch of these lineups of pillars and stuff, and it's like Medusa could be anywhere. They're seeing these statues. They even break one of them, checking it out. This two-headed dog attack him. Perseus has his sword being freaking held hostage by a snake. And it's just going all sorts of haywire. And then when he's finally retrieves his sword, kills the freaking two-headed dog. Sorry for spoiling stuff for you. Spoilers. Uh, it leads up to my favorite scene or sequence of the entire movie, them actually going into the depths of Medusa's lair. And it's this really dark place lit by flames, just the orange glow off of the walls. There's even more statues, and it's dark in places. But once again, Medusa could be anywhere, and they're just like, use your shields to look at her, not actually look her in the eyes, or like looking left and right. I think Perseus even kind of is like pointing his sword in different directions to have them look different directions, even though I feel like that's a bad idea for them. And like you see Medusa's shadow on the walls as she's traveling from one place to another. And just the atmosphere of the scene, the sound design and everything, the build up to finally Medusa freaking shooting one of the assholes in the back and him falling into this like little pond or whatever this is, like little spot of water that's just there. And then they hide behind pillars, each of them. You hear the rattle of her frickin' rattlesnake tail. And she finally appears. One of the best freaking claymation effects of a Ray Harryhausen film, in my opinion. And she finally appears is so good. I think it's something about the lighting too that makes this effect so good. There are times where you can tell it's got like green screen and crap, but it still looks so good. And it's just so creepy to me. And finally, the fight begins where she's shooting arrows at the other guy, getting him out of cover. She turns him to stone. It leads to that scene you're seeing right now. Love it. It's an entire battle of just like kind of trying to trick her to shoot other things, and him building up to using his shield to trick her, even to eventually having to use uh, his patience and timing to hopefully freaking get Medusa right on time in chopping off her goddamn head so he can use it for the Kraken later. And it's just so much buildup until he can finally freaking let loose on her. Such a good scene. I love the buildup of her character, even the talking with the three witches earlier about how powerful and deadly she is, her backstory and such. So cool. I love it. Love that entire movie, but that hands down is like one of my favorite movie scenes of all time. I can't believe freaking AVGN just did a video talking about it, and he also loved the Medusa. Just so cool. And it's just so cool that I had a poster of Medusa, and I talked about that earlier, so now you're seeing what my favorite scene is. I love stuff that has mystery, atmosphere, and build up. Just some of my most favorite stuff. Stuff that I can talk days on end about and just go giddy about. I've even watched the Medusa scene on its own. That one, the YouTube video itself, where it shows the entire Medusa scene. I will even watch that. But I do really love the movie. It's so good. I'm glad I got my friend Dave to watch that too. Such an awesome movie. My personal favorite Ray Harryhausen movie. But yeah, I don't know if those gifs will get me copyright claim, by the way, because it is technically movie footage, but uh, smaller. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed. Sorry this went on for 50 minutes. 50 minutes of me gushing about crap. I hope you could hear me fine too the whole time. And let me know what your favorite movie scenes are. You have an awesome day. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments below if you did. Bye, Jimmy's mom. Yeah, that's about it. See ya. Transform and roll out. Bye bye, guys.